Well, south of the video store is a show called Off Our Stones. We got Andrew and me and a friend Cody. We're gonna rank some fucking songs. Rank them songs. Songs gonna rank songs. The longest list in the whole damn town. Longer than old King Kong. Meaner than a junkyard dog. This gets you in the right mood.
Shout out to Upper Darby legend Jim Croce.
Yes.
Rest in peace.
A legend that is kind of underappreciated in terms of the other musicians that are dead.
We're not going to compare dead people, Brooklyn.
No.
That's not what the point of the show is.
I guess that was a scale.
Let's bring in Cody.
My child said something. I'm like, good. Fine with me.
Couldn't have been better timing then. So for those of you who are just catching up with us, Brooklyn and I are going over our top 500 songs. Cody, representing the American public,
The
people, yes, will be choosing between the two songs that we put up there, with the possibility of vetoing. He's got 9 of those left, and whoever out of all of the songs that we didn't unanimously put on, the person who Cody picks the most of will have to listen to the playlist of the other person's choosing for a week, and that's all the music they can listen to. With that being said, I am currently behind, and I am terrified.
Is this what playing cricket's like? We're just getting like a bunch of runs, and then it's like whoever has the most runs at the end of like 5 days wins.
Listen.
Listen, John Boy covers cricket, so it's cool now to talk about cricket.
No, it's not. Listen, this is just what I don't care. Like, for me, it would be smart for me every time to make it as tight as possible, and then at the very last episode, break it. No, you pick crap songs, you're going to go down in those rankings. Like, I don't know how many episodes until you guys get combined, but last time I checked, there's a person in Canada that did not pick a Charlie XCX song, but there was a person from Philadelphia that did. Apparently, you're not wanting to win. I don't know what to tell you. You're doing a bad job right now. And how many Peter Gabriels do we have? Like, come on, let's be real.
Just a couple more that may pop up. I don't know.
Guess what? There may be a veto that pops up too. Let me tell you that.
Don't you dare veto Peter. Don't you do it, Bobby.
Peter. I might save it for the highest Peter.
Yeah, I swear to God, if you do that, you're gonna. Okay. Before I get violent, let's get started with the first match. Oh, yes.
I do have some housekeeping. One, do we know how many episodes until you guys go combined? Because I feel like the tone of the show will switch very heavily at that point, because I will be vetoing.
It's going to be on like 13. I think it's 13 or 14 is when we switch over.
Okay, and that will be, then the tables will turn. I'm not making one of you happy. I'm making both of you sad if I do that then. Is that correct?
Yeah.
This is correct.
I need to save some of those in the whole ready to go.
The arsenal?
Yeah.
Lace up the sleeve.
Because I don't know what's coming. I don't know what y'all agreed on. When a Philadelphia man and a PEI guy agree on things too close, that's close to the world coming to an end. I'm pretty sure. So I've got to be for the world. I've got to push the button when no one else will.
The man, once again, a man of the people.
The people.
The people. All right. Let's get started with this first matchup. For what will be numbers 440 and 439. Jazz, we've got by A Tribe Called Quest versus Can I Kick It by A Tribe Called Quest. Brooklyn, I'm going to let you have the honors of going first right now.
So yeah, this was on the list beforehand, and just going through, I didn't feel there was a reason to take it off. Used great sampling of Lou Reed's "Walk on the Wild Side." I just think like the counter or like the simultaneous action of the bass going down and up, I think is just very satisfying on the ear. And then just like this is like a lo-fi kind of dance tune. Like you can just kind of sway back and forth, and like it's a very catchy lyric in terms of Can I Kick It. There's just great verses all around in terms of how they kind of flow with the beat, and I think there's just enough difference for it to be 500 worthy.
And with Jazz, we've got, first of all, Phife Dawg and Q-Tip's flow on this song is incredible. The way that they just ride that smooth, jazzy kind of groove, it's impeccable. Also, that saxophone that comes in, magic. It's so perfectly placed in the mix. It's one of the best produced songs I've ever heard. But even just like the way that they end it, where they're calling out like all of the rest of the native tongues, as well as just like other influences of theirs. It's just a really, really tight piece. Whereas with Can I Kick It? Great piece, but the production on this one is not as good. You can hear the clipping where the sample ends and they re-loop it. That part consistently takes me out of this song, and if I'm constantly taken out of the song, there's a problem with that.
So I think that's used a part of like the transition with the scratch and the spin to accentuate the fact that it is a mix and it is kind of a loop that they're using. Jazz is, the beat's okay, but it just stays at that beat for so long, and then at the end of it, it wants to be Can I Kick It? It tries to go into this dance sort of phase. And I just think it doesn't fit with what the song is going for.
I will say, but the snare on Jazz we've got is so impeccably like produced. Like a snare can easily become just an overwhelming sound in a song if not used properly. And as I said before, there is so much amazing work by both Q-Tip and Phife Dawg on this, where Q-Tip kind of takes most of the control on Can I Kick It?
Okay. Well, I'm curious to hear what Cody has to think.
So, as listening to these songs, I've never heard these two songs before this list. Shocker. I know everybody's like, what? I guarantee those are going to be your top two tracks. No, never heard of them. They played next to each other the entire week on my playlist. I don't know if you two, and I'm going to be wrong on this because I don't know music.
Okay.
They sound crazy, like similar. One is slowed down, but the other, like the same like thing, they're doing the exact same thing in both songs. So when it happened the first time, I was like, what? So I listened to both again, and it did the exact same thing. It sounds like that. I'm like, one's just slow version. Okay.
They're a very smooth, relaxed, laid back.
Yeah. That being said, Can I Kick It? I did enjoy more than Jazz. I did like the slow jazz. Like he tied it in. It was nice. But it wasn't enough for me. Again, for the common listener, those cuts between the samples, nah, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, dog. They sound fine to me. So overall, yeah. I think when I was trying to put in my head what two will go there, like what you'll start the show, these are the two that I thought should have started the show. So I'm so far in my brain 2 for 2. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn takes another one over me. That's great.
We got a long time together, guys. Long time.
We do. And I
listen. Jays can blow a 7-run lead in the playoffs. Anything could happen here.
The Orioles almost did it today. Just saying, but did. I'm dating this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe. So let's move on to the 438 and 437 on our list. White Room by Cream versus That's the Joint by the Funky 4+1. Okay, White Room is just this epic, atmospheric, just tremendous rock song. Eric Clapton has never sounded better on a song, to be completely honest. And his guitar on this is just fucking kick ass. But the big thing instrumentally that this song has is Ginger Baker on the drums. Holy God, is the drumming on this song just incredible. And the lyrics just create this like epic, like just this landscape that creates this eerie tension almost. Just sonically, it's one of the most impressive songs ever, and poetically, it just flows so nicely.
Yeah, so That's the Joint by Funky 4+1 is kind of like Sugar Hill Gang's cooler cousin. I just think it really rides the funk beat that's like kind of it's very reminiscent of like To Be Real, that kind of horn beat. I just think they're very effective with their lyrics. Sharon Green does an incredible job in her performance in this, and I think she just kind of stands out from the rest of the crowd. And I just think it has time to not necessarily just get out as many verses as possible. They'll take time to have let the bass solo have some fun. And just have a nice kind of like jam within a hip hop song. I think that's kind of hard to do. Whereas with White Room by Cream, I'm an Eric Clapton stan, but I believe that Eric Clapton is hiding behind a wah pedal in this. It's just so much effect where like his best riffs are from like his clean stuff. Like, think about Layla, think about how clean that riff is. I agree that Ginger Baker is good on it, but I just think the other two on it are not top 500 worthy, especially from Eric Clapton's own discography.
You're asking for something that the song is not giving you. You're asking for a clean, like, rhythmic guitar when that's not what the tone of this song is going for. The tone of this song is going for like this wild, epic kind of sound to it. That's not the guitar that I want to hear in a song like this. With the Funky 4+1, first of all, this is Sugar Hill Gang. It's from Sugar Hill Records, so it sounds very, very similar to Rapper's Delight, to the point where it's almost kind of the exact same thing, almost. Plus, for 9 minutes and 50 seconds, it kind of starts to get super, super, super repetitive by like the 7:30 mark. It's just to the point where I'm like, all right, I get it, let's go. And it never kind of picks up after that.
I think in that instance, you have to honor the time that this is released and that the overall live experience. I think that's something that would take into consideration, like where you're hearing this at a dance club, you don't feel that length at all. Also, if we're going to be appreciating guitarists that use particular effects, if we're going this style, it has to be like a Jimi Hendrix song. We're going to be talking about him later, so I think it's just a little repetitive to have this style of guitar when there's already better guys doing it.
Well, let's see if Cody agrees with us then. Cody?
So I love that, like, the thoughts that I'm having during the week come out from two people that I haven't talked to about this stuff. It's very funny. I listened to That's the Joint, and I said, is this Diet Coke Rapper's Delight? Because they do like the same thing. And I love Rapper's Delight. Do not get me wrong. It's so fun. It also got a point down because I think Funky 4+1 is the dumbest band name that I have, like, name I've heard in a while. One, that's math. They could have just been the Funky Five, but I guess it might have been taken. So then,
because it's 4 guys and 1 girl.
That's even worse. Hate it even more now. 1+4, I may have been better. This may be the whitest choice I've ever done because the band is Cream, and I'm voting for White Room over the Funky 4+1. But that song flippin' slaps. I love that song. Just like as soon as I said, because I don't like look up, listen to it. I just press play when I start driving, and it like as soon as it kicked, I was like, oh, all right, we're good. This one's good. This one's a good one. Yeah, in 9 minutes, you felt that. No offense. I actually stopped at one time and put on Rapper's Delight instead. Transparency.
All right. Well, with that, I gain a little bit of momentum with White Room coming in at number 437.
Don't fuck it up.
Well, we'll see what happens with what will be 436 and 435. Hey Ya by Outkast versus No Rain by Blind Melon. Brooklyn, you are going first this time.
Okay. Yeah, so Blind Melon, I think, just is a staple of the 90s. In terms of just this like very remembering kind of guitar lick. It's very, very clean and whatnot. And then you have the opening lyrics of like, all I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I just like the way that it slows down between the verses and the chorus. Like it's not same. And it kicks right back up. I just want someone to say to me, oh, I'll always be there when you wait. And I like to keep my cheeks dry today. So stay with me and I'll have it made. And it's just like, I think it's a really good job at kind of like telling a story. And it's very easy this is one of the easier kind of sing along songs. And then just the way that it kind of rocks out in the ending with just him repeating, I'll have it made. I'll have it made. And it's just, yeah, it's a face-licking solo for sure.
To all Beyoncés and Lucy Lou's, get on the floor. Get on the floor. You know what to do. Yeah, no. Hey Ya, I remember when Hey Ya came out, and it was literally everywhere. Every station was playing this song. You could not escape Hey Ya. It was at the pool. It was at the restaurants. It was at the supermarket. Literally everyone's playing this song, and there's a reason, because it is tight as hell. Andre 3000 is just friggin' killing it on this song. And we got to bring up the dichotomy of the upbeat music versus the kind of sad lyrics of if we know we're not happy here kind of flip to it. It's just a really incredibly crafted song. Whereas No Rain, it's a good song, but it's not one that I can listen to over and over again without it suddenly becoming background music. What I'm really missing with No Rain is a little bit of more oomph. Whether that be a little bit more energy at one point, whether it be a bit more like grime or like rock on the guitar, it's missing that extra element that pushes it over the edge.
Okay, I would argue that that extra element is the harmony that he's adding in there in the chorus. I just think it gives it like just that tinge of kind of a psychedelic feel. Whereas with Hey Ya, I'm gonna say it's an overrated beat. The best part of the entire song is when the guitar comes out. Like the ending is great, but you have to get through this like. It's admittedly bad. Like I think there's meant to be mistakes in the guitar for everything else to kind of shine. The other argument that I'll have for this, I don't think people remember this if the music video is not as great as it is. I just think that takes on to so much of the remembrance of it that I think the song just kind of came along with it.
So I don't understand the music video thing because, as I said, I heard this song everywhere. I wasn't seeing the music video everywhere, as great as the music video is. Also, it has some of the most memorable lines you will ever hear. Hey, what's cooler than being cool? Listen, if you did not scream ice cold, if you did not scream ice cold in that moment, you have no soul.
Your lyrics are admittedly dangerous. A business had to send out a memo because people were damaging their product. So listen here, Mr. Financial Andre 3000.
look, it's not his fault that some people just don't understand how to properly shake their Polaroid picture correctly. Let's move on to Cody before this gets
Well,
into
that's the power you have as an influencer.
You're not supposed to shake the Polaroid. That was the rule. To answer your question, ice cold, and I am your neighbor. Give me some sugar. Automatically great. I said leading into this, No Rain has a real shot to beating a lot of songs as long as it's not going up against Hey Ya. It happens to go against Hey Ya, which I don't create the matchups, which sucks. Also, I will say, Barr almost lost this because he was about the whitest human being ever describing Hey Ya, and
I'm sponsored by sour cream.
Outcast almost said, we're good. We don't need to be in this. But I will say he also is like a food critic on like a judging show on Food Network that says, I'd really like No Rain. It just needs some acid. It needs some acidity. I don't have that because that's every critique on any cooking show ever. That if it just had a little lemon zest on the top, this small piece of salmon would go from here to like here. What? Stop
Cody,
it!
please tell me you've watched The Bear. Please tell me you've watched The Bear.
I have not.
Go watch The Bear.
I don't even know what that is. Love it. But sure,
it's a show about cooks.
Oh, then yes, I'll go watch that.
Yeah. All right, so I'm assuming you're picking Hey Ya, even though I just got rid.
Yes, you were very white, but you do get the point. Yes,
okay.
That was Shoney Carter giving you a spinning back fist.
Dude, that song when I was younger, like I think my 13-year-old self would beat the shit out of me if I didn't pick Hey Ya. I think I sang that on repeat for weeks.
Many a middle school talent show had at least one person.
Gosh, I'm glad Facebook and everything was not around during Hey Ya time. Oh, the amount of groups that were just a bunch of whiteys just shaking it off.
The TikToks would be
Hey guys, Hey Ya challenge, shaking like a Polaroid picture.
Oh, if that comes back, I'm leaving. They should delete the app. Delete the app. What? I don't care. At this point, I don't want it because if I have to see that come back, I'll end myself.
All right. Well, before you end yourself, let's move on to the next one. Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen versus Buddy Holly by Weezer. So this Atlantic City is one of Bruce Springsteen's more dour songs, but it is so melodically and lyrically interesting. It's about a couple running off to Atlantic City and the guy falling on hard times, essentially having to work for the mob in order to make a living. That opening line of "They blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night," I'm not saying this as someone from Philadelphia, but it's just such an interesting and immediately like attention grabbing line that it kind of forces you to pay more attention to the lyrics. Bruce sounds really good on this one. His vocal styling works with this kind of melody and production. It's just a really haunting piece about things that you're forced to do, even if you're in an area that's supposed to be glamorous.
So yeah, Buddy Holly, obviously coming off the Blue album, you have to recognize that. I think in this list, they've been described as the Beach Boys of the '90s, and I think this is where it comes into play. It's just this very like it has a kind of smile on its face, but you still have like that hard rock grunge to go along with it. One of the more catchy choruses. How many times have you heard somebody, like, how many people do you see respond to the part like oh and you're Mary Tyler Moore? I think the bridge in this is great as an indicator of top 500 worthy songs. Just how they're able to like almost double time with the speed and whatnot, and then like the whole like what's the matter you, and that's how they get into the guitar solo. And I think it's just like it's a really cool. I think it's a better melody usage in Atlantic City. Like in terms of heads up matches, I think Buddy Holly is doing a little bit more. Whereas with Atlantic City, it's a guitar that's like one of the first songs that you learn as a guitar player, and you have a harmonica that is too high pitched. It needs to kind of come down to match the voice and the rest of it. And Andrew, just because they add a mandolin to a song doesn't make a cool production.
Okay, so it's not just guitar and a harmonica. There's a mandolin there. Great. Yo.
You didn't know that?
No, I knew that. I'm just whatever. So the atmosphere that harmonica creates just adds that layer of just despair and hauntedness that, as I've said, tonally, this song is just really powerful. The way that the instruments are spaced out in the production to create this almost like echoing effect, that's why they sound like that. With Buddy Holly, first of all, Weezer has been skating by on Buddy Holly for a long time. To the point where they have been ripping their own song off, and it is actively damaging the history that this song has. The song has become actively a meme more than anything else, and I cannot take it seriously anymore because of that. Plus, honestly, it's kind of limp.
The meme argument, I would go to the music, go to the whole music video of it, just how corny and cheesy it is. So if I can't use the music video argument for Hey Ya, I would say the same thing for this. Also, this is not the only great song on this album alone. There's one that didn't make the official show, but like Undone. As well, Say It Ain't So, even though it didn't make the list, I think is another one that Weezer kind of holds on to, on top of like the rest of their discography. Fucking Island in the Sun off of Green album, Pork and Beans from the Red album, LA Girls from White album. Like, to say that Buddy Holly is the only one that they pipe onto, I know you're getting me bit on a tangent here, but yeah, I'll stand by that. The guitar work in mine and the choices that they make are better than the atmosphere that your song is going for. And yeah, let's hear what Cody has to think about a song. A song about a U.S. city.
You're trying to pass it. Hold up. No. Let me get one thing in before we move this on to Cody. You brought up a couple songs that actively rip Buddy Holly itself off. Islands in the Sun is just Buddy Holly light. So let's get that out there. But let's go to Cody.
Wild conversation. I don't know. I'm, again, not a Weezer expert. I would have to tag in a person from Iowa for that. But
you your head off after everything I said. Let's not do that.
Yeah, he already hates you. Here we go. Buddy Holly being I don't like, I know Buddy Holly's from Weezer. Like, I know that. But I still wouldn't even consider like that song as like mainstream as it should be, I think. I know it as soon as it hit, but I think they're held on to a few more songs a little bit later in their filmography or their discography. I'm a fan of Bruce Springsteen. I really am. I like him a lot. I just don't know if this song's it. I just think like Sad Boy Bruce does good sometimes, but this one was a little like too down for me. And I think like the music and his vocals were like a little just unsynced. Like, not like they're not like put together right. It just didn't mesh like the sad boyness for me as much. When Buddy Holly, when that kicks in, it's just like, let's flip and go. Like, it's a bop.
Okay.
I think your Philadelphia is showing. Just saying, buddy. It's fair, but it's showing.
It also helps that I live like 20 minutes away from Atlantic City.
Is that when the Chicken Man got blown up? Who's that? Colonel Sanders?
Yes, it's absolutely Colonel
Yeah.
Sanders.
Oh man, that's another jam that I could have had. This song
Maybe
just
if he
feels
put a few acid on his chicken, it wouldn't have been such a bad day for him.
This song feels as smoky as Atlantic City is. Like, it's just I think everybody there had.
Wait a minute. All right.
Everybody's like breathing out of their like Atlantic City out there like throat holes because they've just been smoking marbles since the song came out.
Seeing people smoke inside a casino was mind blowing for me.
Oh,
what a time to be alive! We're in 2023.
There's a woman named Janice that hasn't left a penny slot in St. Louis in like 4 days. She's just having somebody bring her cartons in. She hasn't moved. There's ashes all around, and she's won like $2.34 at this point. It's nuts. Waiting for that progressive slot to pay out her money.
Yeah. Oh, that jackpot's gonna hit anytime soon. It's over 6K.
Dumbasses.
Cherry, banana. Great. All right. All right. Let's move on to one that I'm. All right. Let's just move on to the next one. Many Rivers to Cross by Jimmy Cliff versus Life on Mars by David Bowie. Brooklyn starting us off this time.
So I think this does a really good job in terms of the song. You have the verses kind of setting up the atmosphere of the song and like them kind of touching down. Like if Space Oddity is like the first one, then Life on Mars is kind of the sequel of them kind of exploring, and then they finally see. And just that you get this natural kind of descent from David and the piano, and then you get to the chorus and it's this big like rushing kind of boom, and then like you get to the part of like it's like sailors fighting at the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go! It's the freakiest show, and then it's just that little like tinge of piano at the end. I just think it's a good follow up to Space Oddity, and just one that needs to be recognized for the list.
Whereas with Many Rivers to Cross, the gospel swell of this song, just honestly, it's one of the most beautiful sounding songs I've ever heard. And Jimmy Cliff, once again, like just the way that he delivers this song with a weariness that sounds like he's got not only one cross on his back, but like two that he's carrying on his shoulders. It's just such a it's just such a powerful piece to listen to because of the spirituality that this song kind of contains in its sound and music. And it's just an effortless sound as well. Whereas with Life on Mars, it sounds like it's trying too hard. It's doing a little too much. It's being a little too metaphorical. It's too smart for its own damn good. It's kind of in its own way.
It's David Bowie. The song is called Life on Mars. I think he's got a main reputation of being this kind of complex character, given his many personas. This song, like Many Rivers to Cross, is something that I feel like Otis Redding passed off on. It's good. I just think in this style, there's better ones. In particular, Changes, this makes me want to listen to Changes, kind of similar to how That's the Joint. You get kind of, if on the same mood, it kind of gets you listening to Rapper's Delight. I just don't think there's enough difference in it to have this in the 500 conversation.
Now, are we talking about the difference between Jimmy Cliff and doing like an Otis Redding song, or are we talking about Life on Mars versus a bunch of other David Bowie songs? Because if we've got you even mentioned Changes, which is a better song than Life on Mars is. So honestly, it sounded more like you were talking about David Bowie's catalog than this song.
I believe that your song is just a smaller version, I guess, of what that song is trying to accomplish. Whereas with this one, like you can't. I think trying to knock it for its sound is kind of crazy, given his run at the time. And it's like, Oh, for critique's sake, let's just say that he needed to be a little more straight, given that's not his mo.
Well, let's pass it on to Cody and get what his thoughts are.
So I wasn't a huge fan of really either. To be fair, I didn't like either. This is going to be so unpopular for a lot of people, and I'm okay with taking the stand. David Bowie is the Wes Anderson of music. I don't like it. I don't like it. They're occasional. There's a look at him. Oh, that's not. No. So Jimmy Cliff wins this one.
Ow! I'm not gonna lie. This is not where I thought this was gonna go when these two songs got put up against each other.
Sorry.
Okay. Internet, if you would like to show your anger, Gmail, Caleb Coho, Captain Sparrow at gmail.com.
Okay, yeah.
So with that, let's move on to what will be 430 and 429. I still haven't found what I'm looking for by U2 versus Get Lucky by Daft Punk. Brooklyn, you start us off.
Yeah, this took over the summer that it was released. I believe 2014. Yes, 2014. Good, I actually got to release it right. But I just think that Daft Punk does an incredible job of building up the tension through the verse and the chorus, and just having the assets of Nile Rodgers and Pharrell Williams alongside them to get this super clean and catchy riff, and then Pharrell just kind of like floating on top of it when he comes in with like that like the Legend of the Phoenix. And then you do what Daft Punk is kind of known for in the bridge, where they break it down and then they almost subvert you by getting you pumped up in such a new way. Whenever they're throwing in their kind of like robotic signature onto the song.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It's another one of those that feels like it has this gospel euphoria to it. Bono sounds amazing on this song. The power in his voice, like his chest voice in this song, is incredible. The layered vocals on this just add that extra element that just makes this sound like it's filling an entire stadium, even if it's just being played on your headphones. And then just some of the imagery of I have climbed highest mountains, I have run through the fields only to be with you, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. The lyrics just create this beautiful, epic imagery. That's just an incredible experience. Whereas with Get Lucky, after a while, that guitar riff really starts to grain on my nerves, because it's the same guitar riff throughout the entire song. Also, I'd like to point out that on the episode of Like 500 Stones, where Brooklyn and I talked about this song, Brooklyn and I agreed that it wasn't even the best song on that album.
You son of a bitch.
So, and this is the highest
motherfucker.
This is the highest Daft Punk song that he has. So the highest Daft Punk song that he has, he admitted, isn't even the best song on that album. So,
you son of a bitch. But I would argue that if the guitar lick in mine is kind of repetitive, your bass line is even more, because for most of it, he's just hitting the root note and kind of just staying on the beat. I think given what everybody else is doing, and considering how innovative of a guitarist that the Edge is, there could be more done to just round out the song. I think you have choruses, and I'm really sorry, but Disturbed did it better. Disturbed hit the tones that U2 was trying to go for much better. It's much more anthemic, and has the much more of like a gang kind of sing along vibe. With Disturbed.
A gang sing along vibe. Oh my god, that's not what this song calls for. Oh my god. I'm just gonna send it over to Cody to like put me out of my misery.
Wow. Okay. So I play video games a lot. I don't play Mario. I don't play, RPGs, or I play sports games, okay? And this song, Get Lucky, was on NBA 2K14, and it played a lot. And it got overplayed a lot. Now, the question I ask is, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. There's 2 songs on this list that I feel like I've already talked to you 2 about, and I don't know, was it on the 500 episode?
It was, yes.
Okay, so I've done this before. I haven't done this song. I don't think Get Lucky was on my episode, but I know still haven't found what I'm looking for was on my episode. And I think there's another one later on that was also on my episode.
It was.
Either way, I love Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. I think it's such a good song. I think Daft Punk Get Lucky, I'm with you. It's so catchy because when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah. And then after like the 200th play, I was really done with it. And then the 400th play, I'm like, she's up all night to get home. It'll bring you back. You'll hate it and it'll bring you right back. But Still Haven't Found always brings me there. And if Disturbed has a cool version of this, I would like to listen to it too, because they do some cool versions of songs, which is kind of weird, but they do.
Okay. So
I think it's a tie game for you guys right now, isn't it?
I believe so.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's move on to what will be 428 and 427. There it is. Superstar by the Carpenters versus Pay For It by July Talk. Brooklyn, I'm going to send it over to you real quick because I have to just like change something.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a little more some Canadian alt hard rock, and they softened it up for this song. This has a very Beatles-esque kind of like Revolver era. Just the softness of the piano and the guitar. And just like the whole story of the song, like this song was written about them getting robbed at a restaurant that they were at, and I did think it does a really good job with the opening verses of like, well, okay, then that explains it, and just kind of how their initial response to it. I think my favorite line in the song though, it's like one of the last verses. When they're just going into like you hear this just kind of oohing underneath, and you just hear her say, help us everyone, someone's gotta pay. And I just think it's like a very soft kind of somber song.
With Superstar, this is also kind of a somber song. But Karen Carpenter's vocals on this are just heartbreakingly beautiful. Richard Carpenter's composition of this song is incredible, with the horns coming in during the chorus. And everyone is always like, oh, the Carpenters are kind of lame. Like, they didn't really release any good songs. But the moment that this song comes on, everyone's going, don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby. And everyone's rocking out to this song. They're crying. This song, it emotionally hits everyone. Whereas with Pay For It, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I listened to the song like maybe 5 times, and I cannot remember a single melodic moment. It kind of, it's produced well, but like musically, there's just nothing that really quite sticks with you the way that the chorus of Superstar and those horns do.
Okay, my response to that would be is kind of in the pre-chorus when they kind of like cut everything out and then you hear like something's wrong with it, I know it, and then you just hear that faint little guitar coming in at times. I think that just offers up a little bit of a different thing. I think with your song, it just kind of takes the wave, puts it up to about like a 7, and then just kind of stays there. Doesn't offer like a ton of like break into the song. It's just kind of like the strings are there. Doesn't really give it kind of a chance to breathe. Also, Karen Carpenter is a good vocalist. I just wish that she did like more, because like it's hard for me to differentiate this song from anything else in her category or anything else in her discography rather. So when I hear this, I'm just like, I know that it's good, but like what's added to this song to make it really stand out?
It's the power. It's the power and the build into the chorus from the pre-chorus and the verses. When you look at all like most of the other Carpenter's other stuff, like We've Only Just Begun and Sing a Song, they're all kind of like, they sound pretty. They're very pretty. This gets a little bit dirty and edgier than a lot of other Carpenter songs does, which is what makes this one work better than any of their other songs. But if you have nothing else left to say, let me know if I'm wrong. We'll pass it on to Cody.
Dude, I have apologized to Brooklyn here, but his song does not play while Chris Farley and David Spade drive down the car. You're gonna turn it off. You can turn it off. I'm fine if you want to listen. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and this song, when it came up, when both songs came up, I'm like, well, this song is like sad. And again, how I judge these songs are driving. It's how I always have. It's how I always will. Because when I'm home, I don't really listen to music. Like when I'm editing and stuff, I'll listen to music, but I don't really just turn it on to turn it on. So when I'm driving is when I do all my listening. And I'm telling you, I didn't know this song at all. And then as soon as it hit that Tommy Boy moment, I almost wrecked my damn car. I almost literally just
fucking simple bastards.
I almost ran my car off the road because I looked down and went started doing Chris Farley while doing it. I was in love. I think her vocals are also so good in this song. Like, I didn't even realize it. But yeah, if you've ever been in a car with your buddy and one of those like songs pop on and you're like, you can
change it if you want
to. I
to.
don't care. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then we're all just jamming out. Like, oh, that's real friendship right there. That's a moment. Carpenters, move on.
All right.
I love Brooklyn like constructions and says this song, and then this simple like this construction worker just walks in and be like, well, that song slaps and Tommy Boy, so gotta move on. He's like, son of a bitch, I made you a puff pastry.
When the
bacon and cheese, I'll take it.
When the Pay For It single came out, I listened to it 13 times in one day.
No, it's Pay For It's a really good song. I do like that
one. But they're both dour songs until again, when you have a fat guy that sings and cries, and then a fat guy listens to it and not knowing, it's a perfect combination. It's the acid on top of the
What you're telling me is
it's the lemon zest. It's the lemon zest. Have you never seen Tommy Boy?
No, I've never seen Tommy Boy.
If there's a movie out there for you, it is Tommy Boy.
Okay.
Tommy wants wingy. Watch it. Great movie.
That's the whole reason that I asked Mr. Producer Man to pull up that clip for me, because I knew it would help me so much. All right. Let's move on to what will be 426 and 425. Need You Tonight by INXS versus Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. Mr. Producer Man, bring up the banner. Yeah, that's right. This song is hot as fuck. Just Cody's reaction. just the way that the tension is built up with the "come over here" at the beginning of the song, and then suddenly those guitars come in, just din 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 din, and just the way that like he's kind of like singing almost under his breath for a lot of it, just like I need you tonight, 'cause I'm not sleeping. Oh, this song is hot as all hell. Um, and it's just also like really well produced, really well sung, really well written, and it's instantly memorable. INXS's best song, in my opinion.
So Hot for Teacher is a masterclass of musicianship, and just fucking like glam metal. You have Alex Van Halen opening the song with some of the most technically proficient drum riffs. It has this like swing kind of vibe, especially whenever he adds in the cymbals, and then Eddie comes in with just one of the greatest solos ever. That like second to Eruption that every guitarist tries to mimic, and then whenever he comes out of that, just this rhythmically tight lick that just kind of keeps this double time going. And then David Lee Roth comes in with like this fucking dialed up to 11 energy. Like the whole, like when they get into the moments of them in between the songs and it's just Eddie licking and it's like David Lee talking and they get like I brought my pencil, give me something to write on, man. And then it's just like you're headbanging to it. I think in terms of Need You Tonight and versus Hot for Teacher, mine wins musically every time of the day. I think with Need You Tonight, it tries to be too posh for its own good. There are some moments that you can kind of like air out and let breathe, but it just tries to be too like strut, pose, boom, like too pop and lock.
You think that Need You Tonight is more strut pose than Hot for Teacher is? Where every time you only get into the guitar, it's literally David Lee Roth doing that. Yeah, man, I wonder what the teacher looks like this year. That's more strut pose than Need You Tonight, which is just this smooth as hell experience, which takes you from beginning to end. It's like that groove is just impeccable, and you're feeling it for the amount of time that you're in it, and you're just like enjoying every second of it. The bass line in this is also just really underrated. It's just such an earwormy, instantly memorable, catchy song that everyone can sing along to.
The bass line is smooth in this. The synth in yours is smooth. The guitar kills the momentum and versus the song. Like you can't, like Eddie Van Halen is much better in terms of rhythm and lead work than the song.
Well, let's kick it over to Cody to see what America chooses.
Don't make this a Canada versus America, motherfucker.
Listen, I believe growing up, INXS was a fake band. I believe they were real. I remember something on TV with them, and I was like, this looks like a movie or something. It seemed very fake. I don't know. I think maybe they were put together. I don't know what the story behind INXS is, but it was wild. It just seemed fake or some TV production. Is that what?
So there was a show. In fact, the person that became the new lead singer was from Canada, was from Nova Scotia.
Oh, they were looking for the next lead singer of INXS. That was the okay. A time
wasn't Chris Daughtry one of those people?
I don't think so. No,
I thought he was for some reason. But all right, go ahead, Cody.
A time capsule just got opened up in my brain. That was wild to experience with you guys. Thank you for that. So Hot for Teacher, I like a lot. But there was a show that came around in about 2009 to 2012. It was a group of high school students that got together in like a choir setting and like sang songs. They ruined the song for a while.
Hold
on.
That's
hold on. They ruined the song for a while for me because Anytime you talk to anybody, and my son is 13, and he says, "Oh, the Glee class did it better," and I'm like, "Who? Shut up! They're stupid." My wife loves it. I hate it. It's awful. This might be the most ridiculous reason, and I don't know if this song comes up later, and I don't even know if you guys like this, but "Need You Tonight" always reminds me of another song because
Okay.
it's in the lyrics. "Need you tonight," but it's not the song, and it always lets me down when it's not that. So I'm gonna go for "Hot for Teacher" higher than "Need You Tonight." Turn around. Just that's, but yeah, fair. Oh man, I can't believe I just realized what happened with NXS. That's awesome.
They've
Because
been
I
around
thought they
since the
were,
80s.
I thought they were fake.
Well, speaking of bands that most people think are fake, let's move on to the next pairing. Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees versus You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon. I'll start us off this time since I made Brooklyn go twice in a row. I'll go twice in a row. Last Train to Clarksville. First of all, let's show the Monkees some damn respect. Yeah, they may have been a band that were originally created for TV, but the songs that they created actually freaking slapped. Last Train to Clarksville probably being their best one. Just that jangly guitar that opens the song, that it's so good. The vocals on this song, the way that they're just layered on top of each other, they kind of have this like slightly sugary aspect to it, but it's like just enough that it's not annoying. And in fact, it actually just works incredibly well. Plus, that chorus slaps. Honestly, it is such an instantly memorable song. And the moment that it starts playing, you know exactly what song it is. And it is such a blast.
So I have actually debated the song before that it's the most 80s song ever. The riff in You Can Call Me Al, I think, is great, whether you're looking at it from the horn and sax piece that comes on like near the end. Or the bass lickiness is fucking incredible. Also, when you look at it, when you break it down from a lyric perspective, it's Paul Simon really talking about him having a midlife crisis, and I just think it does a really good job, similar to how we praised Hey Ya, this upbeat song with the kind of like dark, kind of sad undertones. I just think I think again the horns and the sax in this does such a good job of bringing so much pop into it, and then whenever it cuts out and you have like that little funky little bass solo, it just gives it another kind of like cycle. Whereas with Last Train to Clarksville, I would like to take you into a meeting of the producers to see how they came up with the song. Hey, have you heard of Paperback Writer? Yeah. Have you also heard of I Feel Fine? What if a song kind of sounded like those, but it makes you want to listen to both of them? Oh, okay. So we'll make Last Train to Clarksville. I'm sorry. That's what kind of happens. This makes me want to listen to Paperback Writer in particular. It's sharing a lot of the similar qualities. And it's just, it's hard to kind of do this kind of style when Paul McCartney and John Lennon already exist.
So let's be honest. The general public knows Last Train to Clarksville more than Paperback Writer. Paperback Writer is one of those Beatles songs that not a lot of people would say is like a favorite of theirs. But if you ask people, hey, what's a great song by the Monkees? The first thing that comes up is going to be
I'm a Believer.
Clarksville.
I'm a Believer.
And I was thinking about now I'm going to be an asshole because you're pushing the boundaries here. You brought up a debate that you once had about You Can Call Me Al being the most 80s song out there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember if you won that debate or not?
I did not.
No, you did not.
Because there's a song on there that I believe they were talking about later. So again, in terms of "You Can Call Me Al" versus "Last Train to Clarksville," I believe that my song is doing more in terms of production and overall beat. It's standing out from the rest of even Paul Simon's discography. Like, Paul Simon's very much a guitar player, a guitar player who wants to tell a story. This is kind of that same thing, but it's just they didn't do enough to like change the tone a little bit to separate from ultimately their biggest competition.
All right. Well, let's send it over to Cody because we've just passed the 1 hour mark, to be completely honest with you.
How many more we got to go?
One more after this.
Oh, okay. I think we're doing fine. Fact check. We're having a lot of fun on this episode. We're talking, we're helping Cody discover things that he was lost in his youth. So we're doing good. Second, if you believe in your heart of hearts that more people know The Last Train to Clarksville over Paperback Writer from the Beatles, sir, that's called you're lying. As somebody that doesn't know a ton of it, I knew the Beatles version. The Monkees are that's the band that did I'm a Believer. That and sounds very similar to the Beatles.
I'm gonna say
My
this
name's
right
Ringo.
now.
I play the drums. What?
I wrote a song about an octopus.
Shut up, Ringo. Yes.
I'm going to say this right now, and this is going to be super controversial. I'm a Believer is not a good song. It is one of the Monkees' worst singles. So, there.
His vocal work in that song, though, like you try to perform that song in his style. I think you
listen.
will have,
I would love
appreciation for it.
Also, little known fact. Don't know if anybody else knows this. I think there's a show out there called Boy Meets World. Okay,
yes, there is.
Boy Meets World has Alan, which is the dad of Corey and Eric Matthews. Okay, he has an episode where he's friends with a member of the Monkees. He plays the guitar in his band. He shows up and they sing songs from it. Well known fact. Everything that Barr just said makes me want to completely vote against him. But Can You Call Me Al is one of the weirdest songs I've ever heard, and I hated it. That starting thing is just like it's like trying to talk to Boatman about things. He just drives me crazy, and I don't know where we're at. So the Monkees, at least, I will take the like RC Cola, like not Coke, not Pepsi. The next thing, Beatles versus the Call Me Al.
Wow.
I should have just vetoed that one, though, and put I'm a Believer on there.
Okay.
But I didn't. But I thought about it.
Which I appreciate. I appreciate you. I'm not going to lie. You Can Call Me Al was one of the songs that, like, just got cut, like, towards the end of making my list.
Of course, you grumpy old man. Of course you love that song. Sometimes I bet you walk into a Whole Foods and say, "You can call me Al." That would be you.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the
fucking Jethro Tull over there.
All right, let's move on to the last song on the episode. This one being the one I think actually might be the tightest. Just Like Heaven by The Cure versus Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. You forgot the verses there, Mr. Producer Man. Brooklyn, you're going to start us off this time.
I thought you were going twice.
I did go twice.
You did go twice. Oh, okay, cool. So Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Whenever I was listening to it as a kid, I fucking hated it because it just sounded like everything else at the time, especially like 80s for 8. But when you dissect it from the rest of the decade, I think it does a really good job at being like surprisingly soft given how quick it is. The bass in this is a phenomenal job of just keeping that beat going, but also keeping it consistent and not having it rushed. The synth just kind of sits on top of it all, and then you have that opening lyric of like "Welcome to Your Life," and how how the singer matches the bass and the hi-hat in terms of that that's almost swing kind of beat. Especially when you get into like I think it's like the third verse, like holding hands while the world comes tumbling down. You get this big kind of boom from the drums, like the holding hands, like the bow 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 bow. I know I'm making my own sound there, but yeah,
I do it all the time.
I just think it's like it's a graceful way to kind of fall down, like hold your freedom and your pleasure. Nothing ever lasts forever. Everybody wants to rule the world, and then it's just like you can still bop around to it.
And with Just Like Heaven, it's one of the most, especially for the Cure's catalog, it's just one of the most happy songs I've ever heard. Just the way that synth kind of just like glides and kind of like goes in and out of the song, but balanced off of that just like beautifully placed guitar. Robert Smith's vocals on this, they're so joyous, and it's just such a great uplifting sounding song. That just like lyrically, like it's so sweet. You look just like heaven. And then especially at the end where he says it like the last time and it kind of just glitters off at the end. Whereas with Everybody Wants to Rule the World, it starts to get a little tedious after a while. Like I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase this, but it starts to kind of all blend together where I could literally play any part of that song and it would sound like it's the beginning. It just doesn't feel like it. I'm going to say it again because it needs a little bit of that acid in there to just finalize it. Just a little bit of that lemon zest.
So I think where you get that acid and lemon zest is in the chorus when you have that just like you hear the guitar hitting the single notes, kind of matching the words to kind of give it more oomph on the beat. Whereas with Just Like Heaven, like when you break it down, when you go into their guitar riff, I think that style is done better with the Go-Go's, in particular Vacation. It kind of makes you want to listen to that. And then when you go into the synth, that synth is cool, but you hear better stuff in that style with the song we were talking about earlier, actually, with Take on Me and Aha. So I think the sum of its parts doesn't. I'm not sure what that saying is. I always get it wrong, but the individual components of it just don't mesh well enough.
Okay. Well, let's move on to Cody for the final pick of this episode.
I believe Brooklyn Song was on the top 500.
Yes, on the episode.
That was the other one I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was the other one. Yeah. Yeah, I still have to go with that song over Just Like Heaven. I like Just Like Heaven, but I love Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I think it's just slap. It has enough acid for me. I think too much acid would make me poo-poo. So that's a dish.
Too much acid give me heartburn.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, here are the results of this episode. Got Jazz. We've got Can I Kick It by A Tribe Called Quest. That's the joint. That's not by A Tribe Called Quest. That's the Funky 4+1. What are you doing, Mr. Producer Man? You're drunk.
It's probably
I think Mr. Producer Man finally learned how to take the plastic off the cigar, so the fumes are affecting him.
No, that's a better name than the Funky 4+1.
Number 437, White Room by Cream. Then we have No Rain by Blind Melon. Hey Ya by Outkast. A dramatic drop from where it is on the current list by Rolling Stone.
Where was that?
Number 10.
Top 10.
It was number 10.
That's just stupidity. They're so dumb. God.
Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen, Buddy Holly by Weezer, Life on Mars by David Bowie, Many Rivers to Cross by Jimmy Cliff, Get Lucky by Daft Punk, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For by U2, Pay For It by July Talk, Superstar by the Carpenters. Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby? Need You Tonight by INXS.
Not a fake band.
Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. You Can Call Me Al by Paul Simon. Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees. Just Like Heaven by The Cure. And Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. With that, we are tied again.
Nice.
It's tight.
Overall, 2-goal lead is the worst lead you can have in hockey. Just remember that.
Yeah.
And also, do you think the first 500 list or the whatever they've done, do you think there's like a group that comes in and be like, hey, what about this song? What about this song? But there's just a person in there, like the monkey with the symbols. It just makes no fucking sense.
Yes.
And then they're like, we're just going.
The person that put on Mr. Tambourine Man by the Birds that's that person.
Just an idiot. Like, there's one guy goes, that one.
Oh,
what?
actually, no. The person, the country purists of the list that wanted "Stand by Your Man" to stay on that list, considering how horribly that song is aged.
Stand by your man. Yeah, bad.
So with that, from everyone here at Off Our Stones and the Video Store, for Brooklyn, for Andrew, and for Cody, thank y'all for watching. Keep rocking. Cody, play us out.
Come, baby.
Drive safe.